You're listening to The Tom Daniels Show, and I'm your host, Tom Daniel. Hey, what truly defines home for you? It's more than just an address. Is it family history? Is it old photos or stories? It's usually much, much deeper than all that. I tell you what, let me tell you a couple of jokes and see if you can guess what I'm talking about. You might be Southern if you think a salad means something held together by Cool Whip. You know you're at a Southern funeral if the casseroles get there before the undertaker. That's right. Today I want to take a really delicious journey into Southern food, but I want to go beyond just what's on the plate. I want to talk about the tastes and traditions that tell a good old Southern story and how our food, recipes, and culture have all shared a place at the dinner table. Not just what we ate, but how it was cooked, why it mattered, and what it tells us about who we came from. Now, this episode is called Southern Food and Family, Recipes from the Family Bible. Down south, a recipe isn't just a set of instructions to make food. It's a story. It's a legacy. It's a much deeper cultural meaning that goes far beyond simple nourishment. It's a hand reaching out from the past, holding a cast iron skillet and a stick of butter. So I really want to unpack that deeper cultural meaning from Southern food and recipes. I'm not going to tell you how to make crackling bread, but I am going to tell you why it's important to know how to make crackling bread. Now, before my mother passed, she gave me the family Bible that belonged to my great-grandmother, whom we all lovingly called Mama Dear. Mama Dear was a big woman, not fat, not at all, just a big, good old country girl. She was born in 1894 in Dudleyville, Alabama, which is about 15 miles from the Horseshoe Bend battle site. She raised 3 sons, including my grandfather, in Society Hill, Alabama, while we all lived nearby in Tuskegee. Now, Mama Dear came into town to Tuskegee every single Friday without fail to go to the beauty parlor and to visit us. And she always stopped off at the truck stop to get a little paper lunch sack of candy for me. Now, I cheerfully admit I am still addicted to the little chocolate footballs because of Mama Dear. But they don't taste right unless they come out of a little paper lunch sack. There's not so much the items of food that are important to us as Southerners, but the whole atmosphere around them. In the South, food has context. A Southern recipe can outlive a memory. I don't remember what Mama Dear's voice sounded like, but I definitely remember her biscuits. Light as clouds, cut with a jelly jar, and baked in a skillet blackened from decades of love. Food carries family history the way a tree carries rings, layered, marked by time, and full of stories. Now, we gather around food in times of celebration and sorrow. Weddings, funerals, homecomings, wakes, and graduations are all built around the food. It's not nourishment, it's testimony. The deviled eggs at the church potluck say as much about your people as the family Bible ever did. And speaking of Bibles, how many times have you ever seen a folded recipe card tucked inside one? Maybe it was scrawled in pencil, or maybe it was yellowed with greasy fingerprints, but that's not an accident. It didn't get lost and stuck in that Bible by mistake. That little recipe is a sacred document, and the Bible is exactly where it belongs. That's how we always kept the story going. When families eventually scattered and the photo albums faded, a passed-down recipe could still call everybody back to the dinner table. That recipe said, "This is who we are. This is what home tastes like. This food is our people." In the South, the family Bible wasn't just for Sunday morning in church. It was the original family archive. That was the place to record births, deaths, marriages, baptisms, and, recipes. You might find your grandmother's handwriting beside the 23rd Psalm. It might say, "Don't forget, low heat for meringue." Or you might find a dog-eared envelope tucked between Exodus and Leviticus titled, Mama's chicken and dumplings for the sick, double for funerals. Some of those recipes were barely legible, written in a kind of a culinary shorthand, and the ladies who wrote them assumed you already knew what they meant. Here are some of my favorite examples of that. Fry until done. How many times have I seen that one? No temperature, no time, just trust your nose, your eyes, and your great-grandmother's spirit. Here's another one. Add a pinch. Now, as far as I could tell, this was somewhere between an eighth of a teaspoon and some sort of vague gesture with a salt shaker. And if the necessary ingredient was liquid, then it would say add a splash. And how about this one? Cook low and slow. Now, this was one of my grandmother's favorites, and it usually meant to simmer on low heat for several hours. And how about this one? Mix till it comes together. Stir until it looks like something you'd want to eat. Not too wet, not too dry. And this one. Use enough to coat. Another of my grandmother's favorites. This usually meant eyeball it until it's good and shiny, but, not swimming in it. And here's one. Use what you got. That means don't run to the store. If you don't have buttermilk, use sour cream. If you don't have sour cream, use mayonnaise. It's all the same once it bakes anyway. And here's another one. Use enough flour to make a stiff dough. That means start with a cup and then keep adding flour until it feels like Play-Doh and then your triceps are burning. And when you see those notes, you realize that food wasn't separate from faith. It was an extension of it. Baking was a kind of prayer. Serving was communion. In the South, every Sunday dinner was a Holy Eucharist. In those Bibles, you could trace an entire lineage of Southern women who kept the family alive through hard times, heartbreak, and hunger, armed with flour, lard, eggs, milk, and patience. Those recipes they left behind weren't just instructions. They were love letters. As a teacher, I've heard a lot of excuses from a lot of students, and it's usually pretty easy to tell who's faking something and who's really hurting. I believe the most memorable and touching excuse I ever got from any student came from a young man who'd fallen behind in his assignments during the semester. And he told me that the problem was his grandmother had recently died, and he missed her cornbread so much he couldn't stay focused. Of course, his pain went a lot deeper than just cornbread, but as a Southerner, I understood exactly what he meant by that. You're listening to The Tom Daniels Show. We'll be right back.
What are you waiting for? The Tom Daniels Show. What are you waiting for? The Tom Daniels Show. What are you waiting for? The Tom Daniels Show.
Welcome back to the Tom Daniels Show, and Mary Mac is the world's most perfect band. If you've ever set foot in a Southern kitchen, then you've definitely seen those church and community cookbooks. Remember those? Typically, those spiral-bound treasures show up in every Southern kitchen from the 50s to today. And you know the kind. They might say something like, recipes from the ladies of First Methodist Opelika, or from the kitchens of the Delta Homemakers, 1968. You've seen them. Each one is a time capsule of regional taste, culture, and memory. And if you flip through the pages, you'll see the time as much as the recipes. The gelatin salads of the 60s were legendary. And then in the 70s, everything was cream of mushroom casserole. And in the 80s, the microwave marvels. But deeper than that, you'll see the community itself. You'll see Mrs. Thomas's sour cream pound cake. Not just pound cake, but Mrs. Thomas's pound cake. There's a difference. Or you might see Mama Liza's corn pudding in memory. Or you might see best ever caramel pie used at our son's funeral. I have actually seen that one. You can almost hear the voices, see the casserole dishes pass through the fellowship hall, and taste the lemon squares that said, "I'm so sorry for your loss," better than words ever could. And when you see a recipe repeated across multiple churches, like chicken spaghetti or buttermilk pie, then you know it wasn't just good. It was liturgical canon. A funny story about those community cookbooks. My wife's high school did a cookbook for a fundraiser, like so many. 15 years after she graduated, she and I lived in Ames, Iowa for a time. And one night, while browsing the gift shop at a Cracker Barrel in Des Moines, Iowa, she found her own high school cookbook for sale right there on that book rack in Des Moines. That was amazing. Some of the most meaningful Southern recipes were born not out of abundance, but necessity in hard times. The Great Depression, the Dust Bowl, 2 world wars, segregation, systemic poverty. Across generations, Southern families, black, white, and indigenous, learned how to stretch, how to substitute, how to survive. Like Hank Jr. said, you can't starve us out. Southerners are geniuses at making do with what they have. Those weren't recipes you found in any cookbook. They were the ones you learned by watching. Making cornbread without eggs, turning leftover biscuits into breakfast pudding, or fixing syrup and butter sandwiches for the kids to take to school when the sugar ran out, or the infamous hot dog bun cheese sandwich because the bread was moldy. And yet these dishes became comfort food because they were made with ingenuity and love. For many poor Southern families, food was a way to preserve heritage in the face of hard times. Many food staples were adapted with whatever could be grown in Southern dirt, like okra, black-eyed peas, greens, peppers, onions, corn, butter beans. These were acts of resilience, of cultural survival, and they weren't always written down, but they were never forgotten. If your grandmother ever said a good cook can feed 10 with what'll barely feed 5, she wasn't kidding. Now, one day you'll be gone, and somebody's going to go through your things. And when they do, they might not keep the furniture, they might not keep the clothes, but I'll bet you they hold on to that beat-up recipe card. They'll see where you scratched out half-cup sugar and wrote, "Make it a full cup." And in that moment, they'll remember you, because the recipes we leave behind aren't just about food. They're about memory and presence and the way a kitchen can become a sanctuary. So if you haven't already done it, write down your family recipes. Please do it. Make time for it. Ask your mama how she gets that crust so flaky. Ask your uncle how he knows how those ribs are done. And if your aunt says, "I don't measure, I just know," make her show you anyway. Because in the South, the dinner table is an altar. Every meal is a hymn. And by the way, in the South, that meal in the middle of the day is not lunch, it's dinner. And that meal at the end of the day is not dinner, it's supper. And just a little personal note from me. There are 4 places where a Southern man never wears a hat: where you sleep, where you learn, where you worship, and where you eat. So take off that dang baseball cap at the table before your mama slaps you in the back of the head. In the spirit of the old David Letterman show, I've put together a top 10 list called The Top 10 Rules of Southern Cooking. Now, these rules were handed down by Mama Dira, the church potluck committee, and the ghost Paula Dean. All right, here we go. Number 10. If it ain't fried, it's not finished. Now, whether it's chicken, okra, green tomatoes, or even a Snickers bar at the fair, Southern cooking believes in the power of oil, a skillet, and a prayer. Somebody once actually said to me, sarcastically, "Boy, if you Southerners could fry sweet tea, you'd do it." And instead of laughing that off, my immediate thought was, I wonder. Number 9. Butter is not a garnish, it's a food group. If your biscuit doesn't shine like a glazed donut, then get back in that kitchen and keep trying. By the way, it wasn't until I was in high school that I learned my mother didn't eat biscuits. Although she made the best biscuits I ever had, she didn't like them, and she didn't eat them. I was just too busy inhaling them to notice she wasn't joining in. Number 8. Recipes are suggestions. Your ancestors will tell you when it's right. Remember the culinary shorthand. When your grandmother says just a splash or just a pinch or until it's done, that's code for either figure it out for yourself or call the Lord. Number 7. If you don't have bacon grease in a coffee can by the stove, are you even Southern? I mean, that can is worth more than gold. It's inheritance. Bacon grease goes in everything. Number 6. Don't trust a skinny cook. Now, bless their hearts, if they're skinny, then they're not tasting what they're making. Number 5. Never, ever, ever, ever show up anywhere empty-handed unless you want to be talked about. Even if it's just a store-bought potato salad, at least pretend you stirred it in a bowl. Number 4. Don't even think about using Velveeta in a church potluck unless you're ready for a visit from the church elders. Trust me, we all know the difference. When the recipe says make it pretty, it means lots and lots of shredded cheese all over the top. Number 3. Mac and cheese is not a side dish, it's a religion. I always get cracked up when my non-Southern friends are outraged that mac and cheese is one of the choices for a Southern veggie plate. Look, just eat it. Don't overthink it. Number 2. Casseroles are a romance language. If we love you, we feed you. If we really love you, we bake something that requires multiple cans of cream of something soup. And finally, the number 1 rule of Southern cooking. Your real family history is written on your grandmother's recipe cards. They're gospel. Don't you dare mess with gospel. And don't you dare stir the cornbread. Let that crust form, child. It ain't pancake batter. Thank you for joining me today on the Tom Daniels Show. If you've got a cherished family recipe or a food story tucked into the back of your own family Bible, I would love to hear it. Leave a comment, leave a review, and be sure to follow and subscribe. This has been the Tom Daniels Show. Keep listening. Keep learning.
Keep listening, keep learning. The Tom Daniels Show. Keep listening, keep learning. The Tom Daniels Show. Take a break from your usual routine and tune in to the Tom Daniels Show. You'll discover the world of melodies and stories that you might not know. Keep listening, keep learning. The Tom Daniels Show. Keep listening, keep learning. The Tom Daniels Show. What are you waiting for? The Tom Daniels Show. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? The Tom Daniels Show. What are you waiting for? The Tom Daniels Show.
What are we waiting for?
The Tom Daniels Show. What are you waiting for? The Tom Daniels Show.
What are you waiting for? The Tom